Roxo Media House.
Gobson has a lot of work on from the weak side.
Wow. Good rebound. Ford might have gone over the back.
Oh! How about the 6'2" Jameer Nelson?
Welcome to another edition of State of the Frogs with Coach Jamie Dixon. I'm your host, Bingo Merriex, presented to you by Autobahn Porsche. Coach, thanks for stopping by and talking to us for a little bit. We want to just talk a little bit about the past few games in Cincinnati. Started there, just great game, home game, and did a great job. Came out and jumped on them early and didn't look back.
Yeah, no, it was a good start, and what we said after the weekend was defensively we got better in both games, and offensively we were efficient against Cincinnati. The rebounding numbers were good, and it was really a great all-around win. A good start, good finish. I thought we did what we needed to do defensively and limited their transition, which is something they got back to running in that game because I felt we hadn't been getting the opportunities, hadn't been running, hadn't quite been filling the lanes. And so we responded. And so a really good win, 20-point win, 18-point win with up 22 against a very good team.
Right.
So it went well. I thought it was good balanced. I thought Emanuel played really well. Really balanced, really well. Might have been his best all-around game defensively, passing. Made some really good passes, and we got the ball inside. We played it inside out, and we did everything really we wanted it to do. We didn't shoot it great, but the defense and rebounding carried us and to a big win.
You talk about your defense, and we transition over to the Baylor game. Tough loss, but you held Baylor to 62 points, and normally that is good enough to win the game for sure. And the defense has been really good. Can you talk about the?
Yeah, I mean, we guarded them well in the half court, limited their transition opportunities, and our numbers. If you told me we're going to do that defensively, our efficiency defensively, I would have taken it, no questions. But Two different halves. We didn't score in the first half. We went dry, and really was in our transition. Could have attacked the zone better. I blame myself for that. I don't know if I made the right calls, but transition, it was our lowest efficiency game of the year. We had enough opportunities, but we didn't convert. And there were some strange ones, and we just didn't make the right decisions. So our decision-making wasn't good. Hence, you give up those opportunities, and then you're not as good in the half court, which we found a little rhythm later in the game. But at the end of the day, we just put ourselves in a hole. And then as the game went on, we didn't rebound, both on the offensive end and the defensive end, what turned into a one rebound difference at halftime became double digits in the second half. So certainly a disappointing loss. Any home loss is. We beat them down there, so that compounds it, and didn't get it done. So we were. It was a tough night. It was disappointing. It was hard to watch the next couple times when I watched it. But you have to get better and improve from it.
So just also, Coach, just talking about the transition game. The transition game was at the low, leading the nation with transition. Does that play a role when the transition is not as effective as far as in the half-court game?
Surely. There was different reasons. There was some passing. We missed some layups. Didn't hit some shots. There wasn't like we weren't trying to. What we did in the first half was we really defend well. We got deflections, we got steals, or we didn't come up with a loose ball. But our numbers defensively, deflections, which is usually a good indicator of how hard you're playing, how aggressive you are. It is the indicator. Might have been our best first half of the year. We just didn't convert. We didn't come up with the ball, and so it wasn't a lack of effort. It's just decisions. Loose balls didn't bounce our way, and it added up.
All right. Man, that's another edition of State of the Frogs. When we come back, we will have the student question.
Energy does everything for us. It's all-encompassing.
We're all benefiting and affected from it.
And it is something that we all need to know about.
It is the glue that holds everything together.
TCU is powering what matters. our future.
We don't just talk about what's needed, we focus on results.
The Ralph Lowe Energy Institute is creating a world where energy is affordable, sustainable, and reliable.
Back on an edition of State of the Frauds with Coach Jamie Dixon, presented to you by Autobahn Porsche. We have our student question.
Hey, Coach, this is David. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm a finance and accounting major here at TCU. And my question for you is, so what's the hardest environment to play in this year?
Well, Dave, that's a good question. I mean, we're obviously now in a league with a few new teams, so I'll ask you what I thought before, and a couple that I'm looking forward to here. Iowa State's up there, Kansas up there is because of their atmosphere. But to be honest with you, every road game we've played except one has been sold out, completely packed, as loud as you could possibly imagine. So in this league, they come one after another. But I would guess Kansas, based on their record and what they've done. And then, what the interesting thing is we got new arenas in this league. You're talking about Baylor, you're talking about Texas, building new arenas and the additions they've made. But looking forward to BYU. I mean, I played it once, a couple times, I should say, back in the day, as a player and a coach, actually. So it's the numbers, seats are down, I guess, but it's still 17,000, and so we'll look forward to. I'll let you know what we think after we go to Provo.
So you talk about back in the day, Coach. Can you tell us what was the toughest place you played when you played back in your time?
Oh, back in the day it was Barnhill. It was Arkansas's place. That was the old arena. It was smaller. I think it was about 10,000. I don't know what it was, but I mean it was legendary because it was by far the best home court advantage in the Southwest Conference. And we beat them my junior and senior year, which I think was like the first team that had done that in years. Win back to back there. So that was the place. And then I think about 8 years later, they built the new arena. Maybe afterwards it's bigger, but not as daunting, I would say, because they were right on top of you at Barnhill. There was nothing like it. I mean, the band was right there. The students, they were just on top of you.
So are there any rival games now? I mean, I know back in the day it was more so rivals. Now it seems like every game is almost a rival because it's just so like electrifying in so many gyms now.
Well, I mean, you were talking about the league. It's the best in the country, and I've used it like I don't know if the amount of resources, how important basketball is. I've kind of tried to, it's just in this league, you're talking about basketball schools that in regions where basketball is huge. The Midwest, the Northeast. I mean, that's kind of been their thing, and that's where we're adding. And then we seem to, as the movement occurs, what we've ended up is getting better basketball schools, and obviously a lot of the moves have been based on football and the TV contracts. So that's why we somehow, how do you get better as a conference, and that's kind of how it's happened, almost in reverse. So we've got some really good new ones this year, and we're adding some more good ones down the road. But again, the rivalries you won't play as many as times. It's a whole new conference. It's a different world, but it remains the best conference in the country for basketball. And the good thing is now they'll just, since everybody kind of knows it, now everybody's going to take shots at you and tell you why you aren't and how it's fixed and how it's now. But that's when you're having success.
Yeah, and you talk about that. That is a good segue as well. When you talk about Big 12 being the toughest conference in basketball, does that play a role with the net rating as well too, as far as like where you play, how you play, the margin? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, I mean it's the net's new, but that was the we used to use the RPI and it's the same thing. Now they've got some other metrics as part of it, not just winning and losing. So, hey, I've been part of best conference in the country pretty much my whole career. So, Big East went to the ACC for a while, and now it's the Big 12. So, again, as I joke, I don't recommend it for coaches, but it's the life I've chosen, and it's good to be a part of it. And the net it matters, and we schedule accordingly, and we play 31 games and plus conference tournament games, and everybody will talk about the scheduling of the 6, 7, or 8 that kind of are where we don't. There's no challenge involved,
Right.
so that the other 30 or the 24 don't matter. They matter, and everything is based on the ones that you're going to be playing, the ones you're part of your conference, part of your challenges, part of your tournament, part of your MTE. So a lot of things factor into it, but I am always amazed how 3 games in December become more important or November become more important than 18 games in the conference.
Right.
It's an amazing concept.
It is. It really is. So when we return, we will be talking with the man in the middle, Essam Mostafa, when State of the Frogs continue with Coach Jamie Dixon. I'm your host, Bingo Merriex.
Welcome to the Squire Shop.
We are locally owned and operated since 1994.
We specialize in the finest men's clothing that the market has to offer at affordable prices with unbelievable service.
We do custom clothing all the way to more casual, Peter Millar, Johnny O, kind of everything. Well, my dad's the owner, so I've been around retail my whole life. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's the best boss I'll ever have. I know that.
We love our TCU community. They have been so good to us. Come see us today. Go Frogs!
Simply the best barbecue in Fort Worth. Dine in, catering, or drive-through. 2900 Montgomery, just off I-30. Remember, the best barbecue in Fort Worth is at Railhead Smokehouse.
Back on Frogs today, we'd like to thank David with the student question, and we're back here with Essam Mostafa, the man in the middle. Man, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
But we want to talk to you a little bit about just your transition from Coastal Carolina and how that was coming to TCU. Talk about the culture and what was the biggest adjustment for you in transferring here to TCU?
Of course, coming to TCU from a mid-major team is like completely different because you come here, the physicality of the team, the athleticism, how fast the team runs, even transition. Like, as I said before, we have the best team in transition in the country. And Coastal Carolina was more like a half-court team, for our one in, and like the kind of game was going my own pace a little bit. Here, you just gotta run because that's what we do. Transition was a little hard at first. Like in summertime, we had to work a lot on me running the floor and everything, but I think coaches did a great job with me, like adjust to the offense and get better at it, and here we are today.
And you talk about Coastal Carolina being more of a half-court offensive team. That helps you out a lot because in the half-court offense, your game looks really polished in the post and playing in the post. Does that kind of transition as well?
Yes, of course. I've been the past 8 years of my life, I've been like kind of like a half-court person. Like in high school, we was kind of like that too. I played for Lehigh. Coach Buck was big on like half-court offense, passing the ball to the post and make a play out of it. Especially because like I'm kind of like skill big, I know how to pass. I got some good footwork, good touch. So like that helped me a lot. Coming here when it comes to half court, kind of like good at this area because the past like 3 years in college that I played was half court. Ball was me a lot, like come to me a lot. So I'm familiar to it, kind of like where this most comfortable place for me to get the ball at.
Yeah. So when you talk about your half court game, and like we're still trying to figure this out. Like who do you pattern your game after? If anybody, you can pick anybody out. Like who was your favorite player?
My favorite player is LeBron James, but my game has nothing to do with LeBron James.
Okay. All right.
I say like I just have. It's mixed. Okay, I love watching Jordan B moves.
Okay.
But I don't have Jordan B body or Jordan B athleticism. But I do have like kind of footwork, like lighter in the feet and the post, like how he moves with the ball and stuff like that. I kind of have a mix of that. I have a good touch around the rim, which I see like not a lot of bigs use it in the league right now because like it's not how the game is in the NBA. I like Sabonis, like the way he handles set ball screens and roll and like little mid range. I would say I got a little bit of that too, like setting screen and handoffs, passing wise. So it's kind of mixed. Like I can't see like a player that I play like him a lot. I didn't see it like as much.
I'm gonna show my age a little bit here. I'm gonna give you Rodney Rogers.
Okay.
Look him up when you get a chance and kind of Google him. The way he played in the post, he was kind of an undersized big, kind of could step out, shoot the mid-range a little bit. And you kind of remind me of that because he up and unders, ball fakes and everything. So when you get a chance, look at that. Yeah. And so the last thing we'll ask you, going into BYU, you know, you have a good friend on that team that you know about. Can you tell us a little bit about that and your relationship?
Ali Khalifa is, I'll call him like he's my little brother. Like I know him for a lot of years now. We first time I met him was I think 8 years ago, and we had like a national team camp. He was the youngest one in the national team, and he played my position. Was like they brought him to the camp till I come back from the States because I was here in America, and he was very young. He's like 2 years younger than everybody. And he was always like asking questions, what to do. He was always a hard worker and everything. But I love him, man. He's talented. I played against him a scrimmage last year when he was at Charlotte, like 49ers. He was good. Ali is very talented. He's a great passer. He's been always a great passer. He always like find the right play to do, always see what people don't see before. Like he's a step ahead of everybody. And very smart player, and I'm very excited to play him too.
All right, man, we look forward to seeing you and Ali go at it, and we thank you for your time. And when State of the Frost continue, we'll be back with Coach Dixon, and he'll give us a preview of BYU.
We're lucky to have a collective that's as strong and as powerful as the Flying T Club. It's a big deal for us. It is a game changer. You know, I would just encourage any fans out there to support it. Everyone asks me, what's the biggest priority? And I say, NIL is big. Please jump on board, show these student athletes how much they mean to you. The thing about NIL is I think there's a right and a wrong way to do it, and the Flying T Clubs do it the right way. Let's keep winning. Join the Flying T Club today.
Back on State of the Frogs with Coach Jamie Dixon. I'm your host, Bingo Merriex. We'd like to thank Essam Mostafa for stopping by and talking with us. Coach, in talking with Essam Mostafa a little bit, he was just talking about the transition he had to make between Coastal Carolina and coming here, how that was a big difference for him. But it seems like he's adjusted well.
Yeah, he has. And there's always a process. Again, granted, he played a lot of minutes last year at Coastal Carolina. They didn't have the best record, and obviously we're in a tougher league. But I think conditioning, I think getting his body was a challenge. But he's taken it on. And one thing you knew about Essam was he really cares, and he wants to had to figure some things out. And it's just different. You can tell them, you can point it out, you can show them on film, but they got to go through it. And there's got to be some ups and downs, and there's got to be some disappointments. But he's handled that well, and you got to give him credit for that. So he's gotten better. He's running better. He's more active. He's in better condition. Yes. So, you know, I mean, you can't say enough about him. He brings all kinds of energy. He's outgoing. He loves being here at TCU in the Metroplex. Yeah. He's smart. He's engaging. He likes school. I mean, you know, he's gotten better, yeah, which is the thing I always like. So, great. Can't be more happy with Essam.
Yeah, and it's not as athletic as, say, your other bigs, but he does the intangibles, and I think that is an important piece that a coach needs on the team as well. You know, getting deflections, offensive rebounds as well. He does a great job.
Very active. He's got great hands, good feet, and you know, we find in defensively that his speed is not a hindrance now that he's in the right spot, right, and anticipating things and understanding team defense and what we're trying to do. So, you know, there's a process. We're doing things, guarding ball screens a little different than probably he did before. And you know, a little bit more athletic opponents, certainly. So, you know, it just takes some time. I wish they all got it right away, and we could get everything across to them, but it's not possible. And he's gotten better, and we've gotten better defensively, and he's been a big part of that.
Yes, that's good. And then he also talked about his friend Ali Khalifa that you're going to play against at BYU, and he's a big part of BYU's success as well. And going into BYU is going to be a tough game, but two of the top transition teams, BYU being more three-pointers, TCU getting more to the basket. Can you talk about what we can see this weekend against BYU?
Yeah, I know they're way up there. I don't know exactly what they are, but two different ways of doing it. It's interesting. I wouldn't call it theirs is more kind of a secondary transition, I guess you could say. There's some throwing ahead, but there's some staggers away, and I think that's where they're really good at and different to what we are. But we have seen it. We have played played against it, and everything they do, we've prepared for before this week. So we've had time, but we know it's at their place. We know they're 7th in the net. We know how they lead the country in 3-point shots attempted. So there's no surprises. It's just, can you guard and do it for 40 minutes and know that they're going to hit one, they're going to hit two. It can't turn into a streak. Yeah. And we've got to respond.
They coming off a big win against Kansas. They hit 13 threes against Kansas. So I know one of the defensive philosophy is 5 or less three-pointers. So that is definitely going to be a challenge for the Frogs this weekend.
Yeah, no question. They start out a little slow and then finish strong, and that's that streak I'm talking about. So you can't ever feel comfortable. Offense comes into play. Kansas missed a lot of shots, so there was a transition going the other way, and everybody's better with going against a defense that's not set. And eventually, it broke down Kansas, and they hit the shots, and the lead changed from down 10 to BYU coming away with the win.
Man. Well, we wish you the best. Good luck this weekend against BYU. That's been another edition of State of the Frogs with Coach Jamie Dixon. I've been your host, Bingo Merriex, and it's been presented to you by our friends at Audubon Porsche.
Roxo Media House.